Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third Q&A for this channel. It's going to be a very chill hangout, very low-key. Just going to be answering the questions you guys sent in. There's a lot of them, which I appreciate. I really, really appreciate them. A lot of them are Bleach questions, of course, but we've got some other ones for variety, spice it up a little bit. For context, my beautiful wife, who you guys know from some of the videos, she's currently working on a cruise this week, so I'm here alone trying to fight off my sense of solitude. Answering these questions is going to feel a little bit like socializing, so it'll be good. It'll be good. This is good for me. And hopefully it'll be good for you. Yeah, so let's get to it. I'm going to try to answer as many as I can right now, but if I don't get to your question, I will save the ones I don't answer for a future Q&A. So let's do this. Which captain's Bankai are you most excited to see? I mean, the easy answer for me is Kenpachi, but I mean, that guy doesn't even have a Shikai. So I hope eventually he'll have a Bankai, and I'd be excited to see what his Zanpakuto, is even kind of like. But he didn't bother really getting to know it, but I'm trying to think, who's haven't I seen that I would like to see? Maybe Shunsui. I feel like he might have a cool one. Ukitake. Like, we really haven't seen much of Ukitake in the action that much. I mean, Yamamoto's. That's probably got to be pretty powerful. So maybe Yamamoto, actually. I think he's probably got a cool Bankai. It'll probably, like, that, the way his Shikai was, he's probably able to, like, unleash the sun upon people. So, yeah, that's probably my answer. I'm going to go Yamamoto for that one. Which captain would you work under if you had to choose? Not Mayuri, I'll tell you that much. I don't want to die. And not Kenpachi. I feel like that'd be very hard. I feel like I'm not cut out for that squad. I don't know. Unahana maybe? That's probably chill. I'd just be like a doctor and she's like nice and it seems pretty low key. Shunsui though, probably, if I'm being honest. That's the most chill. That's probably the most relaxed environment. Probably a lot of partying. I feel like that'd be fun. That'd be fun. What do you think is Aizen's Bankai? If it's, a more advanced version of his Shikai, it's probably like the ability to control anyone in like a wide radius. Like, not even have to look at the sword, you just get into people's heads. Like, more than illusion. Maybe it's like possession, like mind control. That's my guess. Have you read the poems that start every volume of the series? Just wondering because some of them are really deep and interesting and you've never talked about them. Love your videos. Thank you. I do plan on talking about the poems because I have read them. I do want to do a whole video though, just going through each of them, just kind of completely focus on that. I don't know when I'm going to do that, but it is in my plans. I made a thumbnail a while ago about the poems, and yeah, fairly soon, I'm sure, and if not down the road, but at some point in time, I will talk about those poems because yes, they are interesting. What are your favorite manga outside of Bleach, and do you plan on eventually making videos on them? So my favorite manga outside of Bleach, I love One Piece. I've always loved One Piece. I've talked about before that I've been reading One Piece now for almost 20 years. I have made One Piece video. It's a short little video about Brook, who's my favorite Straw Hat, and if you haven't seen that video, go watch that video. I was just kind of venting a little bit about my love for that guy. Yeah, I'll probably do some more One Piece videos down the line. Another big manga for me is Berserk. It's hugely influential to me. I think it's one of the most beautiful looking, not even just manga, but like even including like American comics. Like, it's one of the most beautiful comics of all time. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I still read it even after the tragic death of Kentaro Miura and the fact that they're kind of finishing it. I mean, it's not quite the same, but I'm just glad it's getting some sort of resolution. Yeah, Berserk's big for me, and I will do videos on Berserk. I have a few ideas for videos for that series, but as far as manga go, that's a magnum opus. Like, that's a beautiful, beautiful series. And it's right up my alley as far as like dark fantasy, it's great, and I'll talk about that more some point. Yeah, those are like the big two other ones for me. There are manga I want to get into, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Since you're in the middle of the Arankar arc, what have you enjoyed thus far? Were there any theories that you're happy you nailed, or a twist that you didn't expect but love? Yeah. Uh, thus far for the Arankar arc specifically, I've just loved diving more into like the Hollows and their homeworld and their evolutions, and I've enjoyed like that aspect of it all. Like the Soul Society was cool, but I've always been, as I've said a million times, a big Hollow fan, so kind of getting more of a focus on that has been fantastic. And I think there's been great characters so far. There's been good battles. It's been good. As far as any theories that I'm happy I nailed, I think I've been nailing some of my Espada guesses, not the numbers, but personality-wise. I mean, I just read more Neutra in the chapters I read recently, and I was kind of spot on. That guy's Starscream. And as far as a twist I didn't expect but love, the one I just read, like last night. That was crazy. All I'll say is Nell, and you'll know what I mean. Nell, the Nell twist. I haven't done a video on it yet, and I'm not sure if this is coming out before or after that, but yeah, it's Nell. You'll hear about it in a video. That was crazy. I'd love to see a video of you recommending Marvel runs, especially the Doctor Strange ones. Yes, I'm a huge Doctor Strange fan, and I absolutely plan on making videos about that because there are not nearly enough videos talking about Doctor Strange on YouTube, and we need to fix that. Ichigo's inner world is a sideways, skyscraper-ridden city. What are your ideas on what your favorite character's inner worlds could look like? That's a great question. Oh my god. Kenny probably hadn't seen his inner world at this point in the story. I'd love to imagine his first time there, if he even has one. Yeah, Kenny is probably my favorite Bleach character, and I don't think he would have seen his inner world since he didn't really connect with his Zanpakuto in that way. If he had one, I just picture like a battlefield. It's just like blood, or like blood stains, and like bombs going off, and explosions, and debris. Like, I think Kenny's inner world is very chaotic and full of war. Mayori's is probably very sterile and creepy. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I imagine. Mostly Kenpachi's would be that, but you make a good point. He probably hasn't seen it. What has been your favorite design in the series so far? Could be the attire of someone, their Zanpakuto or hollow form. Since Kubo is so into fashion, I always love to see people's opinions on the character design of Bleach. My favorite design in Bleach. That's a good question, and absolutely, Bleach has some of the best character designs I've ever seen in a manga. I'm going to go with Grimmjow. I think Grimmjow's design, he looks cool. I think it perfectly suits him. I think it's memorable. Like, he's got that look. That look, you remember the moment you see it. That's a character you remember. He's my favorite design. Could I have other ones that are above him and I'm just not thinking of them right now? Sure, but his is great, so I'm going to say Grimmjow. What do you think of the Bleach original soundtrack? And what's your current favorite opening? I love the music in the anime. I think it's amazing. Some of those themes, the one that plays a lot when things get really sad, always gets me. My favorite opening is probably the one at the start of the Waco Mundo arc that I couldn't tell you the name of the song, unfortunately, but it ends with Ichigo in the black and white crashing through the wall, and like Aizen sitting there with the Espada, and it's all black and white. That opening I really loved, but also the original opening. Like, I know, like, I'm not super nostalgic because like I watched the early parts of the anime like 2 years ago, but that first opening, I got nostalgia for it. It's a vibe. Do you think Ichigo and Grimmjow or any other Hollow/Espada could have become friends if they were still human? Absolutely. I think Ichigo and Grimmjow would have probably... I picture a Yusuke and Kuwabara relationship from Yu Yu Hakusho, where they are going to beat each other up in the street, and they're going to be rivals just like they are, because they're both so similar and they butt heads, but they would have been friends, I think, at the end of the day. And I hope they still will be even now. But I think they would have gotten along. I don't think Ichigo uh, would have gotten along with Xyloporo or Haranero. Just a guess. I don't think he would have vibed with them. Are you planning on reading the light novels that take place after the main story of Bleach, since Kubo was heavily involved in them, and they're kind of like the epilogue of Bleach? Yeah, probably. I've seen people ask me this a lot. I don't know what a light novel is. is it is it just like a novel? Is it are there prose and no panels and no art? Or is it like a side story in the manga? I could look it up right now, but I'm not gonna do that. But I probably will. People seem to recommend it. So if there is, story that takes place after the story, I'd probably at that point gonna definitely want to check it out. So I'm gonna say probably, yeah. I'll read the light novels. Just simple. How you doing lately? I'm doing pretty good. It's summertime. Um, yeah, it's we have our pool open. I walk my dog a lot. I hang out with my wife a lot. I've been busy with work, and this has been super fun doing this. So I've been good. I've been productive and good. How are you? Also, do you have a job outside YouTube? And if yes, what do you do for a living? I've talked about it a little bit before, but I'm a ghostwriter. I write novels, fiction novels, and short stories and audio drama things for other people, and then I'm not credited. I get paid for the work, whether it's, a publishing house that hired me or another creator that just doesn't have the time or doesn't think that they can actually, create the novel. And I create it, and it's been great to get paid for writing, which is my greatest passion and something I love. Even if I'm not getting my name on it, it's still great to get paid for just the experience. What are your top 10 favorite transformations? Bleach has many really cool transformations, and the different factions all have such unique transformations that set them apart from one another. That's a great question, and that would have to be, I'd need to write a list if I was going to come up with my transformations right now, which I could do a video on that down the road. But you're right, Bleach has some incredible transformations. I loved Uryu when he was fighting Mayuri. I thought that was a really cool one. I also, most recently, I thought Grimjow, that transformation was great. Like, that was fantastic. So I'm probably going to say Grimjow so far is my favorite transformation. Do you believe that Soul Reapers are inherently good and Hollows are evil? No, I do not believe that. There's more gray, ironically, despite the fact that, Soul Reapers wear black, Hollows and Espada and Arankars are kind of more predominantly white with their masks or with their clothes. I think there's more gray. I think we've seen Hollows that are, victims, or are just sad and resentful and turn into something that they don't want to be. We've seen Soul Reapers that are kind of questionable morals, Mayuri. So no, I don't think it's Soul Reapers are just good and Hollows are just bad. I think Hollows by their nature are definitely very violent and murderous sometimes. But I mean, at that point, some of them are just rabid kind of and just trying to survive. I don't know, but I do know that I don't believe it's as simple as Soul Reapers are good, Hollows are bad. It's more complicated than that. I hope that answers that question in a roundabout way that I probably could have shortened, but my answer is no. Which character's Bankai/Resurrection are you looking forward to seeing the most? Probably Aizen. Probably Aizen. I mean, I'm just curious. If not Aizen, like I said before, Kenpachi's would be cool. Yamamoto's would be cool. As far as the Espada, who do I want to see? Ukiura's probably. Yeah, he's one that we haven't seen his yet. I'd like to see that. Who is your least favorite Espada and who is your favorite? Ranking video? Yeah, I'll do a ranking video on the Espada, like, down the road once I meet all of them, get to know some of them more. So I'm going to save that question until that video. I don't want to give spoilers for my future self. Thanks for the question, though. But yeah, I'll do a ranking video on the Espada eventually. Did you know that Kubo made each affiliation represent a country, Soul Reapers being Japan and Arankar being Spain? you can best tell from the music in the anime. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Soul Society was definitely like feudal Japan-ish, and the Iran being Spain. Definitely, like you said, the music. Those little guitar strings happening sometimes in the anime. I love that. And some of the names, obviously. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that for certain, but I figured. But yeah, thank you. That's cool information. From One Piece, what do you think of Luffy awakening his fruit? Um, yeah, I liked Gear 5. I thought it was a cool, unexpected transformation. I did think the Nika aspect of it was kind of maybe not integrated as smoothly as it could have been into the story. It felt a little like kind of like last minute like setup, but overall I like that twist that the gum gum fruit wasn't. Oh, spoilers for One Piece, by the way. Good God, I'm so sorry. The gum gum fruit wasn't what we might have thought it was. Yeah, overall, I liked the awakening. And have you considered talking about topics about One Piece or reviewing past arcs or chapters? I have considered talking about arcs in One Piece, and maybe I will, but I don't think I'm gonna like go back and maybe I will. I'm not gonna make any promises, but I do want to talk more One Piece down the road. I have some video ideas, but yeah, I'll talk more One Piece eventually. Do you think that Yorichi is going to use a Zanpakuto in the future? That's a great question because I've thought about the fact that she doesn't seem to use one or have a sword or any of that. Like she's her powers and her like physical skills, like hand to hand and stuff like that. And yeah, that'd be cool. That'd actually be really cool. If Kenpachi and Grimjow were to meet, how do you think it would go? I think they'd fight, and I think they'd both have a good time. What captains or Espada do you want to see more from in the future? I mean, I want to see more of all the Espada, but especially I'm going to say the old guy who I think is number one. I'm trying to think who's I'd say of the Espada as far as captains. I mean, more Shinsui. I like him. I like his vibe. If you had to rank characters based on strength right now, what would be your top 5 or 10 list? Guys, it's hard to do top 5s or 10s right now off the cuff like this. As far as strongest, the few people right now who I think are strongest are probably, I don't know, Aizen seemed really strong when everyone was coming at him. I mean, I assume the old guy, if I'm right about his rank, he's probably really strong. Yamamoto and Kenpachi's just a monster. He's like an abomination. And I think once he unlocks his, Zanpakuto a bit more and gets to know its name and stuff, I think he's going to be really powerful, I hope that happens. That'd be awesome. Do you have any thoughts on the criticisms of the Arrancar arc's blankish backgrounds? It used to be a common internet talking point. I'm just curious on your feelings on Kubo's very character-focused panel. Until you brought it up, I honestly didn't notice. I think I'm just too enraptured in the story most of the time to really I just don't notice things like that sometimes, unless they're really stand out, like Berserk or something, where some of the backgrounds look like paintings. Yeah, I guess I just haven't noticed. Maybe it's because Waco Mundo is so deserty that or you're either in a hallway in the palace or you're in that weird place where there's a sky, or you're in the desert. I don't know. I just haven't noticed. So I don't really have any thoughts about it. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't have that criticism because I haven't noticed. And I don't think it's that big of a deal with how the characters have really kept me engaged. So, which female Bleach character is your favorite? I'm going to say Rukia or Tatsuki. But after the chapters I just read, maybe Nell. We'll see. She's pretty awesome. Which Zanpakuto is your favorite? That's a great question. I'm going to say at this moment, design-wise, I like Kenpachi's, how it's all chipped and looks like it's been through some fights. I like that Zanpakuto a lot. Do you think Ichigo and his friends have a shot at beating Espada's 4 and up? I certainly hope so. Otherwise, we're gonna lose. No, they have a shot, of course, but I do think there's gonna have to be some sort of power upgrade here. Where's Guru to unlock, the hidden potential? Because we're not doing too hot. Ichigo got wrecked by Ukiura. Chad got wrecked by Neutra. Yeah. So once they get to the higher ones, yeah, it's going to require more than what they have. Or I mean, we'll see what some of these other people will be able to do against them. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a shot because this is a story and they are our heroes and they're probably going to win. But it's going to take a lot, I think. Kind of a complicated question, but if you were a Soul Reaper, what would you like your Zanpakuto, Shikai, and Bankai to be? Good lord. That is a complicated question. I would want something cool. I'd want something that sticks out, you know. I don't know what I'd want like the abilities to be. That's a tough question. I'll tell you what. When I concoct it and I imagine it and I think about it a lot, I'll post about what it would be to answer this question. Because right now I do not have a good answer for you. But thank you for your question. I'll get back to you. It's going to be a rain check on that. But I like that and I'm going to think about it. Who is a Dark Horse character that you either believe or hope will come through at some point in the story? I think a Dark Horse character that people might underestimate. I'm gonna say, oh God, what is her name? I feel like a terrible fake fan. Who is the little girl with Kenpachi, his lieutenant? Her name is completely escaping me right now. His little shoulder monkey. I think she's gonna come through. She's gonna come in clutch at some point. She's great. I feel terrible I don't remember her name right now. My brain keeps telling me it's Yorichi, and I'm like, no, it's not. Shut up. That's a cat. Yeah. So her, and I'll put it on the screen right now. That's her name, and she's great, and she's gonna come in clutch, I'm sure. From all the powers we've been shown so far, which one is the one you would like to have the most? Which is the power I'd want most? God, here I am sitting here just going, no, but probably, God, this is a hard question too. But I like Hitsugaya's powers. I think the ice powers are cool. So I'm going to go with the safe bet as far as my brain right now and say Hitsugaya. Which arc is currently your favorite? Honestly, I know I'm not done with it, but I think the Arrancar Waco Mundo of it all has been my favorite so far. I liked Soul Society a lot. I especially liked the latter part of Soul Society. Like, it ended very strong. But I've really, really been invested with a lot of the Arrancar Waco Mundo stuff. I think it's just kind of been raised to the next level for me. So I'm going to say that. Who is your favorite character and who's your least favorite? Easy answer for me. Favorite character, Kenpachi. Least favorite character, Loopy. Good riddance. Which Arrancar do you think has the best design so far? Grimmjow. But I also think Neutra's design is pretty brilliant. Yeah, they all have good designs, but I'm going to say Grimmjow or Neutra. If you could make one improvement to the story so far, what would it be? One improvement to the story. I think I would have... That is a great question. And I don't like to really do that because it's not my story to tell, you know? Kubo's doing things in a specific way for a specific reason. But selfishly, I'd probably include Ichigo's human friends a little more. And I'm hoping we will. But yeah, like more Tatsuki. Actually, I'm going to say kind of what I was saying in one of my more recent videos. I would have added more to the Grimmjow flashback. I would have liked to have seen more of that. And I know there's not time for, a bunch of flashbacks for all the Espada, but I think I would have liked to have seen, like, his first meeting with Aizen. One of the most common complaints by people is that Bleach's narrative is a circle, basically. They boil it down to girl get kidnapped, boy has to save girl by fighting enemies. And was wondering your current stance on that. Listen, I get if someone really wants to simplify the story and really pretend like it's like that simple of, Rukia got kidnapped and now we have to go fight these guys and rescue her, and then Orihime got kidnapped and now we have to go fight these guys and rescue her. If you simplify it that way, sure, the broad stroke is similar, but there are so many differences. Just circumstances are so different in some ways that I think that is kind of an egregious simplification just to try to criticize it when there are so many differences. Like, so many differences. It's kind of like when people say, Star Wars A New Hope had the Death Star and they had to blow it up, and then Return of the Jedi had the Death Star and they had to blow it up, but there was so much else going on It's a lot like that, where the actual circumstances are a lot different. Yeah, there's like kind of echoes, and I think intentionally in some ways, but there's a whole lot different too. What do you think about Ichigo as a person? I really like him. I think he's a complex individual. He's been through a lot. He's dealt with trauma. He's dealt with a whole lot of craziness since this all really started. I think he's just a really good intentioned, well meaning person. He's funny. He's badass. He's fights for his friends. I love Ichigo. I think he's a great main character. Who do you think is cooler as an organization, the Espada or the Gote 13? The Espada. Like I like the captains, but there's so much bureaucracy. Like there's so like it's kind of a lot. Some of them are kind of stiff and like I don't know. The Espada, it feels more like this like menagerie of different vibes, and they're all infighting and subservient to Aizen and reacting in different ways to that. I think it's more complex with the Espada, so I'm gonna say the Espada. What are the characters that you wish you got to see more of? Are there any characters you wish had a little less screen time? Ikaku. I wish he was here in Waco Mundo. I wish I could keep seeing him fight. He was so good at the beginning of the Rancor arc. Come on. Come on, he was awesome. I'd also love to see more Tatsuki. Are there any characters you wish had a little less screen time? Loopy. How did you get into Bleach, and why did you choose the manga? Well, I talk a lot about that in my first video. So if you want like a full version of this, go watch that first video, please. It's one I'm still very proud of, and it was actually very emotional for me. I chose the manga because I was always curious about Bleach, because I grew up with One Piece and Naruto, and Bleach just escaped my notice. Really, I just didn't give it a fair shot, and yeah, I finally did, and I couldn't be happier that I did. What are some character interactions that you want to see in the future of the manga? Ishin and like all of the 13 captains. I want to know who knows him, who doesn't. What are his relationships with some of the Soul Reapers? That's what I want to see. Will you cover other anime movies, like emotional movies? Silent Voice, Weathering With You, Your Name, etc. Maybe. I could do that maybe down the road. I get very easily emotional during movies though, so if they're like really sad, I'm blaming you. What series are you going to read next? I have no idea, to be honest. I am so deep in Bleach right now, nothing else really matters. There's some that I'm curious about, but I just haven't really given it much thought. So what series am I going to read next? More Bleach. Of the Espada you've met thus far, which one is your favorite? Like I said, I'll save that for a ranking video, but I mean, if you pay close attention, you'll probably know which one currently is my favorite. Considering that you're a huge Yu Yu Hakusho fan, have you checked out Togashi's other popular shonen manga, Hunter x Hunter? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? I have never read or watched Hunter x Hunter, and I've always been curious about it because it's Togashi, but yeah, never got around to it. So maybe someday, but I've never had any experience with it. I know what the main kid looks like. He's got the tall black hair and he wears green. That's all I know. What are your opinions on Orihime's character? I love Orihime. Like, I really love her, and it's only gotten stronger during this whole Arankar arc. I think she's been one of the highlights of this whole saga, really. Thoughts on the progression of the art style? I think it's only gotten better. I mean, I liked a lot of the off-kilter shapes of some of the characters. Like, Ichigo used to look a little more, I'm terrible at describing art, but he used to look slightly more cartoony, I think. Like a little more like I don't know, the proportions seemed a little more cartoony in the beginning, but yeah, I've loved the progression of the art style. I think Kubo keeps evolving, and he keeps coming up with cool designs and cool worlds, and it all looks nice. If that's a really boring answer, basic, I'm sorry, I'm terrible at describing physical art. After the Ukiura reveal, have your opinions on certain Arankar rankings changed? Of course they have, because I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong about most of them, or at least a good portion of them now. But I'm sticking to that list. Like, a lot of people have asked me, oh, well, what are your rankings now? And it's like, I could keep shuffling them after every reveal, but I don't want to do that. I'm sticking with my rankings, as terrible as they are. And now those are my thoughts on. But yeah, I mean, I could swap people like I talked about. Like Ukiura is 4, so do I just put Stark at 2? Like I had Ukiura before? I don't know. I've been very wrong. But I'm sticking. I'm sticking with that old man as number 1. All right, I'm telling you. The mustache guy, he's number 1. Your opinions on what character has changed the most over the course of reading the manga? Oh, Ishin. But I think that's very intentional. I liked Ishin, and now I'm like, man, he's badass. I can't wait till he fights again. Where before I was like, well, yeah, Ichigo's dad is pretty funny and occasionally wise, but like now I'm like, yeah, bring Ishin back. Let's see him kick some ass. So maybe Ishin, but also Byakuya. Byakuya's had I really didn't like him in the beginning. And now he's okay. He's all right. Trying to think anyone else who I like really changed on. Well, Aizen. I'm just naming people that like very clearly were intentional. I mean, those are the biggies. Those are the big ones. Are you ready for TYBW? I don't know. I assume that means 1,000-Year Blood War, because I know that's a thing. I know there's an anime called that, so that matches up. Am I ready for that? I don't know. Am I? What is your opinion regarding the way Soul Society is structured and how that affects other parts of the afterlife? I think they're kind of jerks. I don't know. They're kind of jerks. But like necessary jerks. Like what they do, take out the hollows that are like threatening people. That's nice. But you like experimented on Quincy's, and those were like human beings and stuff. Like I don't know. I don't like that. Do you have any other series that you are planning or wanting to give the Bleach treatment on the channel? I honestly, like I said, I'm so focused on Bleach right now. I haven't thought about that. Like I haven't thought about what comes next after Bleach. I don't want to give a definitive answer because frankly, I don't know. But there are other series that I've already read that I'd love to talk more about too. But yeah, as far as like a new series that I go through like this, I don't know at this point in time. It's the honest answer. What are your opinions on Bleach's female characters? Some shonen series, cough cough Naruto, have very weak female characters that mostly just serve as love interests and don't do much compared with the male characters. Whoa, shots fired at Naruto. But also kind of valid, because at least as far as the main characters are concerned, I don't think it's a shock to anyone. And if it is a shock to you, you're in denial. Sakura was definitely not on the same par of character importance that Naruto and Sasuke were. I don't think that's a secret to anyone. If you believe she was as important as they were in the story, I don't know what to tell you. But I mean, yeah, that's I do think Naruto had some great female characters. I don't think they were always utilized to the best of their abilities. I think Bleach has done a pretty good job with their female characters. I'm trying to think. Rukia, fantastic. Orihime has turned out to be great. Tatsuki's great. Who else we got? Rengiku. She's got layers. She's a fleshed out character. There are some that I just haven't seen enough of yet. Unohana, some of the lieutenants. Yorichi's great. You know, like I think the female characters are handled pretty well, to be honest. Also, did you know that Kubo gives most, if not all, characters a theme song? I didn't know that. That's fantastic. Where's the list? I want to see what everyone's theme song is. I hope Kenny's is just heavy metal or screaming music, just something violent. What are your expectations for Quincy's? Well, I mean, you got Uryu, right? He's got a bow, and he's pretty cool sometimes. As far as other Quincy's, if there's another secret Quincy, that'd be cool. I'm down for that. That's probably my expectation, is Uryu's going to keep developing, and we'll have maybe a secret Quincy that'll show up. And there's like, oh, I'm another survivor. Oh, Mayori experimented on me. That'd be cool. I'd like that actually a lot. Have you played the Silent Hill games? No, I have not. There's a lot of video games I haven't played. I like playing video games, but I'm also like just very selective with what I play, and I don't get a chance to play like a lot of games. And I'm mostly like I grew up with a lot of different systems, me and my brother, but I'm like mostly a Nintendo guy in my soul. So and like a Zelda guy particularly. Like I've played like most Zelda games. I love Zelda so much. And like recently I played like Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I played all like the paths. And like I love Luigi's Mansion, stuff like that. But I played other games like over the years, obviously Halo, Gears of War, Red Dead Redemption. You know, I've played a lot of games on a lot of different systems, but I've never played the Silent Hill games. I know they're probably scary, but maybe I'll do a let's play. I wouldn't have a clue how to do that. How do they capture the footage? See, I don't even have a clue. I don't even have a clue on that. But no, I haven't played them. I feel like this gets asked every Q&A, but which Bleach characters do you think you could beat in a fight? I think I said last time the janitor from the Soul Society arc, the guy that helped Ichigo, I could probably kick his ass. And some of Ichigo's friends. Obviously not Chad, but you know which guys I mean. The other human guys, I could probably beat them up. If you switch one character from Bleach and One Piece, who would it be? Like swap places in the story? That's chaotic. Potentially. Who would I like? I mean, there's the obvious answer. If you gave Zoro a Zanpakuto, that'd be pretty cool. But I don't think I want to pick him. That's too obvious. If you switch like Zoro and Kenpachi, I feel like a lot would actually kind of stay the same. Except I think Zoro would be obviously less bloodthirsty. And if Kenpachi was there, like some of Zoro's enemies that he's fought would be super dead. So maybe that's fun. We'll say Zoro and Kenpachi. We'll switch them. Will there be live streams to you reacting or just chatting as well sometime in the future? Yeah, sometime in the future for sure. For now, my hesitance with live streams, and I've thought about them, like I've talked about my wife and I possibly doing one. My hesitance with live streams, as far as where I am right now, is the terror of like being on a live stream and then someone in the comments, like none of you lovely people, just someone that is cruel and not cool comes onto the stream and just spoils something. Like, and I just see it like on the chat. Like I don't want that. Like I kind of need a more controlled environment like this where I can just talk and like I have a friend go through the comments and make sure that there's nothing, spoilery, and that's usually what I do. So yeah, it needs to be in a kind of slightly more controlled environment just to protect myself from spoilers. But down the road, eventually, when I'm not as terrified of getting this story spoiled for me, yeah, I'll live stream. Who do you think the current top 3 Espada are after the Ukiura reveal? I said earlier, I'm sticking to my list, but I mean, I'll just say I'm sticking with the old man at 1. I'll keep saying that. He's number 1. That's my guess. Do you intend to read the light novels and Burn the Witch after you complete Bleach? Okay, here's another question about the light novels. And yes, probably the light novels. What is Burn the Witch? That's my question for you on this Q&A. What is Burn the Witch? But yeah, if it's a Bleach thing, I'll probably read it. And if it's like another cool thing that you think I'd like, I'd probably read it. But I don't know what Burn the Witch is. Which characters do you predict will die in the story? This is pretty morbid. Who's gonna die? Who would die? I could see Byakuya dying in like a grand sacrifice for Rukia, like a Piccolo moment. I could see that. I could see Renji dying. Who else? Ishin. I could see Ishin dying, the classic father dying trope, where he could be with his wife again. Come on. Yeah, that might happen. Yamamoto. Yeah, Yamamoto might die. Like, just from old... that's cruel. I don't want to say that, but I was going to say from old age, but... And Aizen, we gotta kill that guy. We gotta kill him. What has happened that made you strive for a life within writing? You've mentioned being a ghostwriter in general a few times. I have wanted to be a writer since 4th grade. And maybe even before that. But that's the first time I remember telling my teacher I'm gonna be a writer. And it's been my, obsession since then. Like, I wrote throughout high school. I wrote a play that got produced in high school. I've written a bunch of manuscripts that I'm hoping to get published someday, that I have a million different drafts of because I'm constantly changing them and not fully satisfied, which is the bane of my existence with these. And then ghostwriting. Yeah, so I mean, what happened to make me want to be a writer? I had a wonderful, incredible mother who loved telling stories and reading and fostered that kind of love of storytelling in me from a young age. And it's always been something I've loved to do. I love telling stories. I love creating characters. I love making people emotional. You make people feel things over things that aren't actually, there. And yeah, I'm going to say it was my mom. She was my biggest inspiration, my biggest influence. She would take my writing and submit them into like writing contests when I was in like middle school. Not even when I was like, no, don't share my writing. She was like, no, I'm going to share your writing. So yeah, it was my mom. Where do you predict the story is going to go from here? How do you think Aizen could be defeated if he even is? Oh boy. Imagine if Aizen wins and he becomes the new Soul King or something. Imagine Aizen becomes everyone's boss. Oh man. Oh, as far as predictions, I don't love to do that kind of thing because I kind of like the story to play out and not, put too much expectation on it, but like I imagine this is a shonen. I imagine we're gonna defeat the rest of the Espada. We're gonna get to Aizen. We're gonna have a big face-off. We're gonna save Karakura Town. Or Hime might sacrifice herself. I don't know. It's those are my basic predictions for upcoming in the story. But if Aizen wins, that'd be awesome. That'd be crazy. What's your favorite panel in the manga so far? Good lord, there's been so many good ones. Off the top of my head, I mean, I love that image of the first appearance of the Menos Grande. That was crazy. Favorite panel? Yeah. Oh, there's a really cool one when Ichigo and Kenpachi are first fighting, and Kenpachi's like, I think it's like a shadow or like an image of him is like haunting over Ichigo. It looks so cool. If I can find it, I'll put it right here. That was a cool image. That might be the one. But there's so many good panels in Bleach. I'm thinking even of like the Ichigo versus Hollow Ichigo stuff. Like there was really cool, like in the black and white. There's just a lot of great images in Bleach. I can't think of it off the top of my head. That's tough. Have you seen the anime named Space Dandy? No, I have not, but I've heard of it. If not, you should check it out. I'll check it out. I'll definitely look into it. I don't know what to ask, so I'll ask you to have a great day. I hope you have a great day as well. What are your thoughts on the amount of censorship the anime has suffered? Does it come off as disappointing compared to the manga? I mean, there hasn't been, like, that much so far, right? I'm trying to think of, some of the gruesome stuff is definitely cut back. The ones that spring out to me are, like, the Grand Fisher fight, where they went less hard with some of the body horror with, like, the mom being used as a lure. I remember that. That was a little disappointing, because that was really unsettling in the manga, and they kind of cut that down a bit. And then obviously, recently, Sayalaporo eating his own minions. Yeah, that was disappointing. I didn't think it was as effective when he was turning them into little energy balls. That just didn't work for me as much. It didn't gross me out as much as it should. That should be gross. What do you think Aizen's goal is? Yeah, I'm trying to remember his big plan. Yeah, he's trying to get to the Soul King, and I assume kill the Soul King, maybe take his place. He'll be above the gods and all that. So, I mean, the thing with Aizen, though, is whatever we think his plan is probably not. Maybe he's going to use Orihime to do something even worse. I could see that. Like, reject reality. Change everything. I don't know. It's probably, I feel like whatever I'd guess, he's going to trick me anyway, right? Why does spicy food feel like it's hot? I have no idea. You mean like scientifically? I mean, it's what's on it, right? It's all the spices and all the hot sauce and all sorts of things that, like, I don't know the science behind it. Does it mix chemically in your mouth in a certain way that makes it hot? Is it just on fire? I don't know. What a weird, wonderful question. Why is Hitsugaya always getting L's? Is he? Is Hitsugai? I'm trying to think. He lost to Aizen real quick, but I mean that was to be expected. He fought Gin, but he didn't like lose to Gin, from what I remember. Right? It got interrupted. I can't remember. I remember he fought Gin, and he fought Xiaolong, and he beat Xiaolong. He fought Loopy, and he pretty much beat Loopy. Has he had any other else? I don't know, but now I'm scared. Is he gonna lose a lot? Have you ever had two series feel very similar while getting into them, which heightens your enjoyment of what you're getting into? I mean, in this case, Bleach is very similar to, like, Yu Yu Hakusho in some ways, and Jujutsu Kaisen, which I've been watching with my wife, that's got Bleach vibes, so those, like, kind of vibes feel similar, and it makes me enjoy it more, because it's something, like, it's a little cozy, something that feels familiar but different, so probably like those three. Do you think Chad will ever get a good moment besides surviving arcs where he can't even compete with a main enemy? Whoa! Yikes! Poor Chad. You really went in hard on Chad. I mean, I hope he gets a good moment. I feel like he's had good moments. Even recently, he beat that guy, and it had that cool visual with the skull in the background. That was cool. Yes, he got immediately beat after, but that doesn't discount his win right before, right? Poor Chad. Listen, I grew up with Dragon Ball Z, alright? I'm used to some of these side characters never getting a win ever again at a certain point, but I hope Chad gets more wins. Poor Chad. That's another one, just like the Hitsugaya question. You're scaring me. Does that mean Chad's gonna always lose? Do you first read the manga and then watch the anime? Yes. That is how I do it. I read some chapters of the manga and then I watch the corresponding anime episodes. What are your predictions for Aizen and Gin's Bankai? Aizen, I already said, I think it's going to be some sort of like mass mind control. Gin's Bankai, let's see, Shikai is like a power pole extension. I feel like just saying it like whips around is too small and too similar to Renji's. I don't know what Gin's would be. That's a great question. I don't have a good answer. I'm sorry. I have no idea. What are your favorite female and male characters in fiction in general? Good lord, there's so many characters and so many things. And you want me to... Oh, off the top of my head? Who are my... Okay, we'll try. This is not a definitive for sure answer. This is just right now in this moment as I'm sitting here. Favorite male characters in fiction. Oh... Guts from Berserk. The Hound from Game of Thrones. I've got to type, don't I? Let's see. Favorite characters? Magneto. I think he's not only one of the best super villains of all time, I think he's one of the best comic characters of all time. I'm a big X-Men fan, by the way. I don't think I've ever mentioned that. Who else do I love? I love Doctor Strange. I love Thor. I mean, there's so many movies, too. Oh, my goodness. As far as female characters, what's popping into my head right now is, let's see, Marjorie Tyrell from Game of Thrones, or Princess Leia from Star Wars, obviously. Ahsoka from Star Wars. She turned out to be a great character. Who else do I love? I love Judi Dench as M. James Bond. She was great. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of characters all around, and I'm just completely blanking. Arya Stark. Arya Stark's great. Oh, Toph. Toph from Last Airbender. Hell yeah. Toph's great. And Azula. I don't know, I could keep thinking of ones and just adding them on. Yeah, male characters, I love Yoda as well. He's my favorite Jedi. What direction do you think the story will take past the Espada? Specifically curious about guesses for character development you want to happen and what future villainous factions may look like. That's a great question. As far as, like, future villains, I mean, I'd love to see a different... maybe there's like a aspect of a soul or a spirit that maybe there's like another option. Like it's not just pluses and minuses and becoming a hollow potentially. Maybe there's like like a another thing that happens to people in the afterlife that we don't know about yet. Like that'd be cool. Um, Maybe like a human element, like a technologically advanced group of humans that know about all of this. Like that'd be an interesting thing to have to see and contend with. Yeah, no, there's some cool possibilities as far as future villains. Have you ever checked out the manga titled Dan Da Dan? You might have heard of it from the recent anime announcement. I have never checked it out. But you're saying you recommend it. Yeah, man, maybe I'll check it out. Which three characters do you think you would get along with in real life? I think I'd get along with Tatsuki, Shunsui, and Rengiku. Do you wear makeup, and when you do, will you wear a Ichigo's hollow mask-esque look? I don't wear makeup. That's the answer to that. But I think makeup that looks like Ichigo's hollow mask would be cool. What do you think will be the final message of Bleach? What do you think the story mainly wants to transmit? That is a massive question. I don't know what the final message would be per se, but I mean, so far, Bleach, I think, has been a lot about, figuring out how to move forward and grow up in a world where we are here for a finite amount of time and anything can happen. But finding a way to keep on progressing in life and enjoying the time you have here and overcoming obstacles to make your life better. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the final message would be. But I do think it does involve grief and mortality. Would you rather have an army of elephant-sized dogs or dog-sized elephants? I mean, I love big dogs. We own a St. Bernard. He's our baby. He's 2 years old. He's 140 pounds, which isn't as big as some St. Bernards get, but he's a big boy. He's a big boy. We get a lot of comments walking down the street. So I'm going to choose elephant-sized dogs. Dog-sized elephants would be cute, but massive dogs that I could ride into battle. Yeah, elephant-sized dogs. Are you excited to learn more about the Quincy as the story goes on? Yes, I am. Please tell me more about it. Even if it's talking about Mayori's horrible actions towards them, I would love to learn more about the Quincy's and what exactly happened. You said you're a ghostwriter. How does that work? Are you given a sort of outline on what to write, and then you do that? It's a little complicated. It depends on the clients that I'm working with at the time. Some clients will give you, everything. The concept, character profiles, chapter by chapter breakdowns. Here's the story. Please turn it into a book. That's pretty cool when you have that, but it can be a little restrictive sometimes if it doesn't really allow leeway. But I've had clients where here's a title and maybe a general concept. Go nuts. And there's plus and minuses to both. And if I'm working on a series, I've worked on series for prolonged amounts of times where I kind of get to steer the ship for the most part. So it really depends as far as being given outlines and things like that. But yeah, it's fun experience. It's a very fun experience. I have had some difficult clients in the past, but those are some horror stories. But mostly I work with wonderful people. Also, any tips for aspiring writers? Read a lot. Read a lot, and when you're writing your story and you are just doing your first draft, don't worry about editing. Just get it on the page. Get it out of your mind, put it on the page, make it real, and then fix it later. Also, are your videos scripted, or do you go in with this kind of list of key points you want to talk about? It's a bit of both. I definitely write notes when I'm reading, and I'll script good chunks of my videos where I really, I like to write things down. I like to kind of form a structure of how I'm going to talk about it. So I do have a script, But sometimes I'll have a thought as I'm recording, or like I'll think of something as I'm recording, and I will just riff off myself and just go on a tangent. That's happened plenty of times in my videos. How are you going to take production of your content in the future into consideration? Like, if you go into any breaks, would you plan out episodes in advance, or would we just be on hold? I haven't thought about that. Most likely on hold, I'd say, because I'd stay in communication with you guys like I have before. But yeah, it's a lot of my production. I'm not like super far ahead, so yeah, it would probably be like, sorry, no video this week, or like I'll be gone for 2 weeks. Sorry, no video. But I mean, if it's like a known thing, like a vacation, I'll probably try to get something ahead of time for you guys. I don't want to leave you hanging. I hate when I have to do that. Sometimes life gets in the way, but for the most part, I want to be consistent. And at the very least, I want to communicate with you guys, keep you posted. What is a plot twist or fight you think might happen but you aren't sure on? I mean, I've learned better than to try to guess Tight Kubo's plot twist. He keeps getting me. Yamamoto versus the old Espada guy. I still think those two used to be enemies. That's my guess. So maybe they'll duke it out. What was your favorite quote or line so far? It's still, I've answered this before, even all this time, it's still gonna be Isshin's speech in front of Masaki's grave to Ichigo. If you haven't read or watched Gintama, you should. Okay, I'll write that down with a list of other recommendations people have been giving me here. How do you get excited for certain moments in the anime after reading the manga? I get excited for the anime moments because I can't wait to see what they look like in motion. I can't wait to see what music is playing during them. I can't wait to see how hyped that gets me because, like, yeah, the manga's fantastic, but, like, sometimes you just all of a sudden it's like, now you feel like number one. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like number one. We're ready to kick some ass. Like, it's just a different experience. And yes, I have the blueprint, and I know what's about to happen when I'm watching the anime, but sometimes it just translates, differently, and sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, which leads to your follow-up. Were there any moments in the anime you enjoyed more than in the manga? Yeah, I mean, some of the fights I think are more exciting in the anime. Some of the expansions they do on the anime, most recently, I thought the anime focusing more on Acid Wire when Orihime was thinking about how she was scared of Ichigo. I thought the anime handled that better, whereas the manga was like one panel, but I think it was more effective to have her really thinking about that a lot. But yeah, most of the fights I think are more exciting to see in color and in motion. For the most part, there are some, I think, like things like Ichigo versus his inner hollow was just so cool looking in the black and white on the page. But for the most part, a lot of the fights. Which captain do you think is the most qualified to be a captain? Ooh. Um, what do you mean, like personality wise, or like their feats? Because I think if we're going by like personality, I feel like Ukatake, and like yeah, he's like sick, but he's got like a good head on his shoulders. He seems qualified. I think some of them, like Maori, should not be. He should not be in charge of anyone if he's gonna blow them up. I think Kenpachi, like he runs like a tough crew, but like I feel like he's not like a born leader. He wants people to rise to his level. Um, Even you got people like I can't say that Byakuya's probably a great leader when he's got his lieutenant fighting him, back in the Soul Society arc. Most qualified, I'd say Ukatake, at least personality wise. I don't know enough about some of them, though, to be like, oh, this person has earned the right. Maybe down the road I'll have a better answer. What do you not like about Bleach? There's not much. I really enjoy it overall. Like, what do I not like about Bleach? I'll give a very honest answer. Like, I didn't like the second movie that much. Like, I thought it was fine. It was enjoyable, but it didn't live up to the series. Like, I think the first movie did. I think the second movie was kind of a letdown. I don't think it lived up to Bleach. I think it was fine, but I think it could have been a lot better. So that's probably my answer right now. As far as like general stuff, I don't really have any big complaints. I've thoroughly been enjoying the whole ride. Like, and I feel like it just keeps getting better and better in some respects. A lot of people say Bleach falls off after Soul Society arc. What's your input on this? I say no. Like I said, I've been enjoying the Arankar Waco Mundo stuff, maybe even more than Soul Society, so no, I don't think it's fallen off. I think it keeps hitting me with crazy twists and cool characters and cool fights and a cool world, and I don't think it's fallen off at all. I think those people are out of their mind. No, it's fine. You can think what you want about it. You can believe that, but I disagree. That's all. In my opinion, it has not fallen off. In a lot of ways, I think it's only gotten better. This is the final question we have listed here, and this is a ridiculous final question. Leon Glitch, you're asking me, you said I could send in anything and everything, so a math question. I hate math, just so you know. That was like my least favorite subject in school. Anyway, 43 times 239. You would probably have stumped me, to be honest. I would have had to write this down and go through the whole thing, but luckily, we have calculators. And the answer I got was 10,277. I hope that's right. The calculator says it is, so I'm trusting technology. And that's it. That is the Q&A. How long did this go for? If you're still here, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate all the questions. I love answering them. You guys have some wonderful, weird questions. It's fun to do these. This has been the most chill one, definitely the longest one. That's okay. If you're listening to this, I hope this was at least somewhat entertaining. It's been helping me feel like I'm hanging out with people while my wife's gone. So that's nice. I feel less alone right now. So thank you for that. Thank you for listening. As always, thanks for the questions. Thanks for this continued support of the channel. And I'll hope to see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.